Welcome to the UNC Podcast, where the intent is to provide insightful discussions around spirituality, purpose, and self-improvement. These messages are for everyone out there that can relate and to help provide understanding to our purpose. I am Tomas, also known as UNC, your host of the UNC Podcast. And before we get into the discussion, please make sure to follow UNC on all social media platforms. And if the message resonates, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Now, for today's topic, we are continuing the discussion about how modern dating is a game. And I wanted to introduce and bring to the conversation one of the nieces of the community. Could you please introduce yourself, your name, age, where you're from, and your relationship status?
Hello. Yes, I can. My name is Jackie. I am 25 years old. I currently live in Las Vegas. And then my relationship status is single.
Is single. Now, I know you've been a part of the community and you saw and wanted to be a part of the conversation regarding dating as a game. I had a video and was talking with another niece of the community, and more that I talk with people, and it's not just ladies, men and women. As far as dating and connecting for relationships today, they go about it through the dating process. So I kind of wanted to understand, is that what your process is, and or help me understand what your do you have any relationship goals, and what are your thoughts on modern dating today?
Okay. I personally, yeah, I guess like I believe everybody kind of has a dating process. So I have like one of my own. And I've found myself throughout like my processes. I usually I'm not on the dating apps. That's technically how I haven't gone through my processes in the past. I more tend to like meet people through other people that I already know, or sometimes I like just meet them organically out in the world, and that could be anywhere. And then things tend to just, you try and start to date from there. Um but yeah, so I guess in a way I'm in the modern dating world, but I haven't necessarily dated on the apps. So I can't attest to that aspect of it.
Okay.
But then I do have like social media apps such as Instagram. So that I guess that would be like one app that I would count as things, but it's not a specific dating app.
Now, so it's actually funny that you say that, because they probably say that Instagram is probably one of the highest or number one dating app out there, not because it specifically said, hey, I'm on here for dating, but that it's used to meet people. Do you find that?
Yeah, I would say so because I feel like it's the way to have like the most access to people anywhere, essentially. Like they don't even have to necessarily like live near you, and you could be, a follower of somebody. So yeah.
So how do you think that hurts or helps the dating market? Because, like, what are your thoughts as far as the dating market? Are you let's take, before we go into that, are you actively dating?
So it's so funny that you asked that question. I always have a hard time answering that question because I feel like a lot of people don't understand my approach to it. So I would answer that as in this current moment, no, I'm not actively dating. And I've noticed about myself where there will be one person at a time that will be like memorable and notable that I'm like, trying to date or whatever. And if like, but if that doesn't work out, or if I'm not like speaking to that person, or if I'm not dating them, I also don't find myself actively seeking to go on dates and try and find another person and this and that. So I like to describe myself as like I'm either usually alone and there's like nothing going on in my dating world, or like there's like one significant person. I personally don't do rosters. I've done it maybe in the past before, but I've learned that like it wasn't beneficial for me as a person, and it wasn't necessarily aligning with what I actually want for my relationship one day. So I don't partake in all that. And a lot of people think I'm crazy for that because they're like, well, why don't you just go find another person? I'm like, for me, it's not necessarily about that. Um, so yeah, I would say I have a bit of a different approach, but I do think that the in my opinion, one of the problems with everybody nowadays is everybody thinks that there's a million options because we do have the access to everybody on, our phones and things. And I think that is taking away from real, like, first of all, real connections, and also like getting to actually know people, because people just like jump into things when they don't know somebody. They meet them and they think this, and that, and it's the greatest thing ever, but you're not actually assessing anything about the person really, just like in the moment what it feels like. And so, yeah, I would say I have a bit of a different approach.
Okay, so that's so to what do you consider dating then?
For me, it's like in for me or in general.
In general. Well, I
Uh,
guess in general, and then for you, I guess is your do you think in general is different than what you consider dating to be?
I think it depends, because yeah, I would say yes. I think some people would be more, oh, I'm going to go on, 4 dates this week with 4 different people because these are the people I'm interested in, and I'm trying to vet people out and this and that. Even if they maybe aren't that connected to the person, it's just something like they feel like they have to do in order to, weed people out. But for me, my definition of dating is like when I do have like that one specific person that I'm focused on, and that is also mutually like focused on me, and that's been discussed, then it comes with like the courtship, the spending time together, the showing me what do you bring to the table, what do you have going on in your life, what do I have going on in my life, and also just genuinely spending time and like speaking to people and like talking to them. um and like it could be going on dates could be whatever you want it to be honest. But I would say for me that's what I would say dating is. um and I'm not saying it never hasn't been where there's more than one person at a time, but like I've really found myself that like no, that isn't my case.
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, so that's part of I think one of the biggest things about modern dating. So I think people are modern dating is the first description that you said some people think of. That's what I see today. People are trying to find, you said, like gratification. They're trying to have someone there. They're trying to understand. They want to go on dates. They're looking for to gain something out of it, not really the long term relationship. I think people want. They say their goal is to be in a relationship, but I personally think dating doesn't lead to that. Like the actions that people do in dating today doesn't lead to long-term relationships. That's why I say dating is a game. It's typically what it looks like is men are trying to. I was talking with a couple of gentlemen actually earlier today, and most men don't need to go out on dates. We don't even call it really dating, right? I mean, that's not even how we look at it. We don't need dates. Typically, we do that because it's what's required to gain the attention or access to ladies.
Hmm.
So we play the game that ladies say that they want so we can gain access. But it's
Right.
never how many play that and do all of that to say, but I want to take you to the end with me. It's that. So it's not really to gain that. It's really just to date to gain access. And because you mentioned like online, and I know you haven't done that, that has become a major way, major modern way that people connected. It allows people then to always seek outside of the area in which they could really connect with somebody. So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, this one, there's always another one. So it says, well, this one, it's easy to find a reason to say this one
Just to
isn't
to
good
leave
enough.
somebody, it's easy to like
Yeah.
cut somebody off. People are way too quick to like, yeah, oh, he gave me the ick, oh, she did this, oh, because they did one actually probably more normal human thing. And somebody, it's, oh, that's one thing that's not on my list, so next. But it's like I don't think people realize that it's a lot more to it than just, you know the surface level things that they're experiencing on, first and second dates with random people they meet online.
But so how does this do? How long will you, I say, have you dated or have you tried to date to find a serious relationship for long term?
Yes, I have, and I'm like semi still trying, but we're not doing anything at the moment. So it's on a pause. However, the longest, like I try, you asked me how long I tried. Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, how long? Well, how long have you been? Like, I would say, what age? If you said you're 25.
Yes, I'm 25.
When
So
did you
I
like?
guess I would say within the past few months, I've really come to the realization that I would be willing to, like, step into a full committed relationship, like a lifelong one. Like I came to that realization for myself about like a few months ago. So that's something I'd be willing to do.
Okay.
Um,
Okay,
but
stop right there. Wait, stop
okay,
right there.
okay,
Right, stop right there.
okay.
So, a few months ago, right? So, no, this is perfect. So, a few months ago, for whatever the reasons are, we can get into that later, but for whatever reasons are, you decided I can do a lifelong relationship. So,
Right.
think about that. When did you first start? That's a few months ago. First start dating. What age? When to like
Oh,
have
like
a
the
person
first
that
time I
was
ever had a boyfriend or
not, I
something?
won't
Or
say like boyfriend, like high school, like adult. Like it was like you're an adult and it's like this could be something serious. Like how old did you really start that process? How old were you? You're 25 now.
probably like 23.
So about 23. So now before that,
That's when I like, first would like think things could be something, but then
so
yeah.
so before that, did you go out and go on dates and connections, anything like that, boyfriends, things of that nature?
I had a boyfriend at from ages 21 to like 23.
Okay.
I had like an actual boyfriend.
And then and at 21, you graduate college?
I graduated college. Yeah, I did. Yeah. At 22.
At 22. So was the 21, so you met him towards the end of college then?
Yeah. And we were like the end of college together.
End of college, okay. Before that, any boyfriends? Any dates? Any going out? Any just
Nothing of significance, no.
okay.
Like
Um
crushes and things and, college-ness fun. But
because so I bring this up because you
like,
said a
no, I
couple months
haven't
ago.
really fully like dated a lot either, if that's what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, and I don't, and that, so I was gonna ask that. So what has been your dating process then? Let
It
me ask you then. No, go ahead. Answer that first.
well, just kind of, I mean, I kind of said it a little bit before, but more just like when there's a specific person, like we try to see if like we're compatible, if we work
The-
together.
I should say, well, so you met the guy in college? How'd you meet him?
The
The la-
boyfriend,
the boyfriend.
uh, through mutuals on Instagram, but we had mutuals,
Okay.
like
Now, did
mutual
you? I guess so.
actual
But like
friends.
prior to meeting him, have you met other dudes that didn't work? How we went on these dates didn't work. How we went on these didn't. Nah, this
Yeah,
wasn't quite
like
enough.
at my college, at my school.
So is that considered? Were those considered dating? But nah, I'm not interested.
I would say I wouldn't have, now that I'm looking back at age
Mhm.
25, I wouldn't have considered it dating, nor did I really think it was then either, because no, like they weren't courting me or showing me, the aspects of playing the game type of thing.
Okay. So then
They
your
were playing
experience.
the games, but
Yeah. Right. They weren't playing that. I got you.
they
So
weren't
okay.
on
So
anything serious, basically.
now what about? All right. So now we'll remove you out of the situation, right?
Mhm.
So I'll understand some of your experience because thing is would you say that majority of your friends, so let's go like some of your friends back in college, all right? So now we're taking you out of it. We don't need
Mhm.
name specifics, but would you say the majority of your friends went the same route that you did? Or did your friends
No.
date? Okay, so they
No.
dated?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Did they have did the mindset that you had a couple of months ago when you said I want to date life, for lifelong? Did they have that mindset when they dated in college?
No.
So this is the part. It's really that I was really trying to tie in. It's like it's a game because people will still do it, but they don't have real intentions. So it's like
Exactly.
like if you don't have the intention to go long term, then it's a game for either side. Men and women have different priorities, right? We have different wants from the other. But you're trying to game your way into something. It doesn't always have to be like someone is just trying to use somebody. But
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, there's if you're not trying to be together forever, what are we doing? Are
Right.
we just trying to kill time and have a connection where we can be physical to one another? It's just you and I. Is it? But I don't really want to plan for the future. Like, are we doing it? So, like, what is it? What are we ultimately trying to connect with? Guys want sex, and especially in the 20s, like
Right.
they're raging. So you know what they ultimately want to connect for.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, that's where I see dating, having the biggest issues and being what I say is a game because I think even until it won't be once you understand what you want out of it. But then you don't
Yeah.
really date. Like, think
No,
about
you
what you
don't.
just said. You're just like, I don't know. And, that's where like courting and stuff happens because it's not really about the dates. It's
No.
about intertwining your lives because you've talked about there's another person that you want to have with you along that path. And then you talk about the path. And I mean, I don't
And
know if
I
people
would
really do that enough.
No, I agree. I don't think people do that enough or even at all, truly. At least maybe in my age range. I don't know what it's like when you hit your 30s and things like that. But also I do know people in their 30s and I see them in the same positions. So it's really interesting because I think the overarching like issue, in my opinion, is that nobody even understands the actual like what a real relation committed relation lifelong relationship is, and it's exactly what you just said, but
W-
I think everybody's too afraid, or I don't even know what the word is, to even like think of doing something with another person forever. Like I feel
So
like the art of that is lost in people nowadays.
it
It's not
is.
even a thought because everybody's, both men and women, are like taught more now to be more independent.
Right. Do you think that's a positive or a negative?
I think it could be both. I think it is both in certain aspects, but I think it's a negative for the dating world because it's causing, and this might be
W-
controversial, but it's causing like, women don't want to submit to a man because, but then also the men aren't like showing things to be worth submitting to anymore. And it's this, and that. But it's like, that's not the natural flow of things, in my opinion.
What do you think women should submit to? That's a great question or a great way that you brought that up. So I want to ask you that because men definitely want women to be submissive, but it's not submission is such a word that triggers women.
Mhm.
The best phrase
It
that
doesn't
I've
have to be
heard,
negative. It doesn't have to
the
be
best
negative.
no, it's not negative, but the best phrase that I've heard is as opposed to that, it also means basically respectful cooperation is
Right.
the best way. Willingly and respectfully cooperating is really what it is. It's just saying, hey, that you believe in me enough that on this one, you're just gonna let me make this decision because it's something that as a man that if you're to submit, you should to submit to leadership and you trust the fact that I'm gonna make a good decision. If I'm not able to do that, and I show that I'm unable to do that, typically that doesn't happen later down the road unless something major happens to break who I once was. Typically, I'm always been that way. So don't it's you can't overlook that. You have to uncover that I'm that way from the beginning. And I do find that relationships are very much modeled. So you start learning how to mirror a relationship when you see the relationships typically comes from our parents. If it doesn't come from there, then you got to find people maybe in your family or that model certain things so you can see it. Otherwise, it's you don't know. I mean, you learn exactly what you were taught. So I don't know as far as like as far as your environment, as far as your background, was your background solidified as far as both parents together in the household? I mean, do you have a modeled relationship that you plan to mirror?
From my own family, no, I don't have a model relationship. My parents got divorced when I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So there was no couple in the household
Okay.
until my mom she ended up with a boyfriend and things. But and their relationship is a form of a model, but they aren't married. So for me, when I'm looking for marriage, like I think there's some aspects missing and things like that. Um, and again, everybody's relationship is different. But so no,
Mhm.
I would say no, there wasn't a model to watch
Okay.
directly.
So how do you know? And see, this is where I really see the biggest issue with people coming up, and that's why we see less relationships because what are we modeling? Now the world has changed. So the dynamics of how relationships were structured back in the day, people don't want those anymore, even though they work the best. I mean, I'm just being upfront. I'll blatantly put whether it's biased opinion. I've got too much experience, and I've seen other people and going through the process that a lot of traditional values work well for long-term relationships.
I agree.
However, that's just not the world today. And I think that's the biggest fight because people, I mean, I know there's a want and desire for things, and
Mm,
it's lifestyle typically based. So, ladies can go get their own lifestyle, so
yep.
it's hard to say, brother man, you don't really want this lifestyle that I'm going to get. So
Right.
and so I know there's a disconnect on that. Believe me, I know, I know.
But then
I
that
don't
also
have
causes like on both sides, like I think it causes insecurities too.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
people, they think they can't be with somebody who isn't, maybe the same as that. I don't know. It's a whole lot of things.
I agree. I agree. Would So, I mean, I definitely encourage, people to have a relationship model. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be a public figure or anything like that, but there's got to be something that you at least have to see so you can say, how does that work? Because relations, they're taught. They're all taught. I mean, I'm sure you have friends, and each one of your friendships isn't the same, but you can recognize that there's behaviors of friends that are similar. And when similar things happen, you've had enough experience to understand these are what you do in these situations. But that's a
Right.
friendship relationship. You understand in a business relationship with you and your boss. You've been in certain ones where you may have been in hot water, got in trouble with certain things. You know situations, how they're going to be handled. Oh, can't do that next time. Like you understand the dynamics. There's no different when it comes to intimate and personal relationships. It's just we just think that no, it's just based off feelings. And I think that also is another thing that takes place that people always want their feelings to be at the highest peak of satisfaction. And that's not at all realistic for relationships. What is your thought
No.
process on that?
I 100% agree. And I think that that's actually really important that you just said that because I think that what I have found just watching like maybe men I've tried to date or friends, like when watching my friends' dating experiences and things, or just seeing things online. Because again, our whole world is typically, we're consuming things online. I personally believe that a lot of this is pushed on people nowadays through online and or through the modern dating world, and people think everything is just gonna be like these, like you said, these feelings, like you know this, you know that. They have to make you feel on top of the world 24/7. And I'm not saying that those things aren't nice and like necessary, with not necessary, but like part of it. But I don't think that's sustainable, and you're not going to sustain something just based on a feeling, because there's going to be moments where the feeling, you're mad at them. You're not feeling them at the moment. Like you're not feeling connected. And all of those things, like the real truths, in my opinion, about a long term, lasting, committed relationship or marriage and things, the real truths about them, people have made like so negative nowadays. Like the things that are quote unquote negative that somebody might say, people take that and run with it as, oh well, she's not treating you right, he's not treating you right, or you're not in a relationship that's meant for you. But it's like it's actually normal to have, you know, issues with somebody, or, things that you have to talk about that you're not always going to agree on. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of things that people have just made they think it's black and white nowadays. And I personally don't think it is. And
I
like
agree.
you're gonna have to sacrifice some things you don't like, just like they're gonna have to. It's just literally how it goes, because no
But
human being
let me ask you, what are you sacrificing for
for
in a
if you have
relationship?
for the other for the other person that you are building your life with, to build the life together that you have both agreed to.
That like see that yeah, I mean you couldn't have said that better. I just wanted to make sure that you said that. No, it's that you're sacrificing for the life that you guys have agreed that you want to lead. And that isn't dating. That
No.
isn't dating. That is like coming up with a plan and then you talk about this is what we want. We may have to meet up in some spots and talk through some things. I know there's going to be a level of attraction that we're going to want to have. I know there's going to be some, some things, but some of that is important, but it's not as important. It's having that conversation and making sure that you can actually do that with somebody. And then if they have the capabilities of making that happen, and this is for men and women, I mean, why are you overlooking that person? And
100%.
most people do it for, or they either people overlook or they never pay attention because they're not looking at them for superficial reasons. So whether it's looks, whether it's financial status or security, which matters, but it matters. It depends on the age and how
Right.
you
There's
get together. I
levels
mean, it
to it
matters, but
all.
it's like they pay attention to certain things that have to be a certain way for for conversations or things to take place, and that isn't. I think that's why a lot of people end up unsatisfied in a lot of the relationships that they so-called relationships that they end up in.
Yep, I agree. I think that's really good. That's a
What
good
is
point.
and I just got maybe just a couple questions here, and then I will let you get on with your day. Definitely appreciate your time. What are your next steps when it comes to dating? What type of and when you actually start taking your next steps, or if you're in them,
Mhm.
whether it's a person you said on and off, or if it's a new person, what what are you looking for? But more importantly, like what are you looking to give to have it?
What I can give?
What are you looking to give to have it? Not can that you want to give. I'm sure if you can do it, I assume. But what is it that you want to give, to your relationship and to the person you're with, so you can have the things that you want out of it?
Well, I want to give my best self. So, if there's things that I always like to say, like, "Oh, I'm checking back in with myself." I'm like, "Oh, maybe there's things about me that I haven't realized, or that I could probably, tweak, and like, or maybe, put my intentions somewhere else more." And then I just want to show up as my best self, and then I want to give somebody the same, like, what's the word? Respect and grace that I would hope to receive. And I want to give somebody my understanding and consideration. I think the number one thing is like, well, not number one thing, but one of the main things I think in a actual real relationship is consideration of the other person that you've chosen to do things with. You got to consider them in all aspects, because that's like what you choose. And that's got to be on both ends. But I want to give, you know, I feel like I personally have a lot to offer, so I would like to give that to somebody, but I want to, ensure that like the person that I'm giving it to not only, reciprocates, but also like is a good person. Like they have to be a good person. Like
No, no, no.
I look at the root of things. I look at the heart of somebody.
Good, good. No, and I'm gonna assume that it's a good person.
Right.
What do you want to give to make sure that that person that that the plan that you guys put together for life that it can happen? Like that person's gonna have to give. What is it
Effort.
that you are gonna give?
Effort, communication. I want to show it in the ways that, works best for our relationship. I want to, you know, do all the things that come with building a life with somebody. I personally haven't like ever hit that status, so it's hard for me to like say what that could look like because I haven't been there yet, but I have ideas of what it could be like. I want to give, my side
You
of
want kids?
things. I do. I want a family, so I want to provide a family. I want to provide more like what some might say like a traditional, relationship and marriage. I want to provide a marriage and all the things that come with being a wife. I want to be a wife um and a mother. And yeah, I also wouldn't mind like providing like cuz obviously things are more modern nowadays like I work as well, so I wouldn't mind providing like some financial aspects like it's not that could, those things get discussed. But yeah.
Got as a mom, and this is and do you wanna what type of family environment when you say more traditional? Are you looking to like be there with the kids or like
Um
work
In a
nanny
perfect
daycare?
world, I would love to be a stay-at-home mom, yes, like
Okay.
that. That is something I would
But
wanna
that
provide.
sometimes that's time though. It doesn't happen right away. Some people
Right.
don't know that. It's like you get with somebody and you guys build a plan and you build and it'll happen.
Yep.
It works along, you guys are working together. You may be working, he's working,
Right.
things are going and it gets to a point to where it's like, oh, but it's been built up. So now you can go out or take time to be able to kind of focus. I mean, it's just,
Right.
building
Like
together.
those
Yeah,
things,
okay.
it comes with like I think as you continue. The one thing I always like to say, I want to give growth. I think there should always be growth
Okay.
towards the main goal
I,
and
I
the
agree.
main life that you're
I
building.
agree. And I would say, I mean, I'll say, Miss Jackie, you're wise. You're wise for 25. I don't know your current situation. What's going on with with the gentleman there, but we'll definitely tell you, you better step his game up if you got this understanding, going on now
That's what
because
we're working with. That's what we're
uh,
working on. That's what we're
so,
all working on.
so now I will say this. Now I always say this to any of my nieces and the ladies. It is always good. I don't know as far as like who's in your life that you go to, regarding as far as like the fellas, but it is always good, to go to to a man, ideally, start with your father. I definitely recommend ladies to go to a man at times to talk about things that are going on with men so you can get especially from a man that you trust and believe in. Typically, I would say start with your father,
Mhm.
in those situations because he's obviously going to be the one that knows and loves you the best. And then from there, obviously, uncles, brothers, people that aren't trying to get anything from you, right? Like they want the best for you. I always, recommend they'll shoot it to you straight, even when you're like, that guy don't know what he's talking about. He can't never be in no relationship, but you know that he
That part.
loves you. He cares of, but he loves you and cares about you. He's still going to tell you directly about how men are. It's just sometimes you got to pay attention. They can really read, how men are. I'm not talking about the man that you're seeing, but men lie. I mean, I'll just put it out there. They may not, want to hear me say that, but men lie. But men lie because this is what women don't like to hear. Women like to be lied to. They just don't like to they don't like to find out that they've been lied to. But if the lie is kept up and it seems real and they're in that sense of and they never find out what you don't know, it doesn't hurt them. But men do
Yeah.
that to keep women in that space, which is wrong. So I mean, I say it both, and I ain't trying to get on, men, but that's just what they use to adapt to try and get to ladies. So it's always good to hear from a man. Some men will say some stuff that you will believe, or sometimes you can believe that won't be true. So just a little bit of,
100%.
little bit of guidance there. And if you don't ever have anyone to go to, you can always shoot a message. I got
Of course.
you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, Jackie. I definitely appreciate. I just wanted to, run, through this, but I want to be mindful of your time. Do you have any questions or any additional thoughts, on this, or anything that you'd like to share just regarding your personal journey, what you want to do moving forward, or any thoughts for the community?
Um, oh, let me think if I have a question. I guess, can I ask you, what is you kind of like alluded to some of your opinions on what you think modern day dating
Mm.
is. What would you say is one or two like main issues other than maybe some of the things we talked about that you think of in today's dating world?
I
And
mean,
do
I
you see
just
it in different age ranges or no?
it's so I honestly think I'm Generation X, so my generation, so I'm later 40s, but 35 plus really at this point. Um, they will still 40 plus definitely still want to be in relationships. I mean, I can see they still want things. They've had relationships in the past that haven't worked. They probably had multiple. They've maybe had kids, whether they've been married or not. They probably had blended relationships that didn't work. Like they still desire and want, but the young, like your age and young and in the 20s and coming up, no. Like they're not looking for relationships. And that's
That's
the biggest
everybody's
issue.
favorite sentence. I'm
It's
not
but it's
looking for anything. I don't want
but
a
that's
relationship.
so and here but so here's the problem. Here's for me how I see it. And I alluded to this. Men go find ladies. Men find and seek women out. The easier it is to find women online, everywhere, the easier it is for us to connect with you. The easier that women allow men to connect and to give access, the less that men will ever be required to do to gain it. That
Yep.
to me, and I'm not saying this putting ownership on ladies because we have to teach men, because even when men go after ladies in the wrong way, they break themselves.
Oh,
They
100%.
they they
They don't
destroy
have they're
themselves,
not showing self-discipline.
and it ruins them.
Yeah.
Now, I will say my experience, it tends to hurt women harder and
Mhm.
longer when they go about it wrong. But it hurts both. So I'm not gonna put weight and I'm not gonna try and blame anyway. But I will tell you that when women pull back, if women have guys have to do more and women make it, I don't mean hard, like to be hard and mean towards a guy. I mean, not as easy to give access to you and your body without him having. It used to require marriage to have sex.
Mhm.
It doesn't even require dating to have sex now. And so when you think about that, that's a big pendulum swing from what men once had to do to what now what they're required to do. So again, no knock, but men will try and go after just that. Again, they I don't know if men are instinctually built to be monogamous. I think men have to
Mhm.
be taught and learned why monogamy will benefit them. There's few men that can have the ability to have multiple women in their life and have it all in order and be able to take care of everybody and do all that. There's very few on this planet that could ever do that. Very, very few, probably a handful. It doesn't work. It's too hard. So men have to learn like one woman matters if you're looking to build and to do things. I mean, if you're not looking to build a family and you're not looking to do those things, and I mean, you just you got to have understanding. But I just think it's that. I think it's too easy to have access. So
Mhm.
the young men aren't looking for relationships. They don't trust women. Women don't trust men. It's kind of broken. I mean, that's just high level. I mean, there's many reasons pointing the finger at each other. I'm not trying to do the gender war stuff. I want people to get together. I think it makes us feel better. There's more fulfillment when we stick together and we raise our kids together. The kids grow up with a different sense of understanding of who they are. They don't have a level of what went wrong or what took place. It's just you no one's going to do it perfect, but if we can figure out a way that matters, I think it'll go a lot further for people, and I think people feel better about their lives.
Yep. Make
And that's really
marriage and commitments cool again. That's literally it.
it, and that and I'm trying. It's gonna
You and me both.
take some
You and me
time.
both.
I'm trying. But Miss Jackie, I definitely appreciate you. You go on and have a good rest of your evening, and definitely, I hope to be able to, maybe have a conversation with you on another topic, or if you ever want to have any further discussions or any specific topics you want to talk about, please let me know.
I would love to. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.